today we'll find a function whose cosine transform is under root over 2 by pi into sine xi into xi divided by xi. That is fc of xi is given, fc of xi which is equals to under root over 2 by pi into sine xi divided by xi. So we know the inverse Fourier cosine transform formula, that is f of x is equals to under root over 2 by pi into integral over 0 to infinity fc of xi into cos xi x d xi. So fc of xi is given, that is under root over 2 by pi into sine xi divided by xi into cos xi x d xi. So now we have to simplify this value. We can take this outside because it is constant, it will be multiplied with this under root over 2 by pi, we get 2 by pi. So as you can see here, we get 2 by pi into integral over 0 to infinity sine xi into cos xi x divided by xi into d xi. So now here you can take 2 inside, right? So when you take 2 inside, you will get 2 sine xi into cos xi x. So now it is in the form of 2 sine a cos b. So which is equals to sine of a plus b plus sine of a minus b. So here a is equals to a xi, b is equals to xi x. So we get sine of a xi plus xi x plus sine of a xi minus xi x. So which is equals to 1 by pi into integral over 0 to infinity sine of a xi plus xi x plus sine of a xi minus xi x into d xi divided by xi. So since 2 into sine a cos b is equals to sine of a plus b plus sine of a minus b. So now here we separate this and this term. So when we separate this term, we will get integral over 0 to infinity sine of a plus xi, a plus x into xi d xi divided by xi plus integral over 0 to infinity sine of a minus x into xi divided by xi d xi. So when you look at this, it will be pi by 2. Its value will be pi by 2. And its value will be minus pi by 2. No, its value will be pi by 2. So pi by 2 plus pi by 2, that is pi. So 1 by pi into pi, which is equals to 1. If for x is less than 1, a, for x is less than a, we will get the value as pi by 2, this value as pi by 2. So now, since we know integral over 0 to infinity sine mx divided by x dx, which is equals to pi by 2 if m is greater than 0. So for other case, we can see here integral over 0 to pi sine of a plus x divided by into xi d xi divided by xi, the value will be pi by 2 for x is greater than a. For x is greater than a, we get integral over 0 to pi sine of a minus x into xi d xi divided by xi, value as minus pi by 2 for x is greater than a. So this will get minus pi by 2. So 1 by pi into pi by 2 minus pi by 2 will get 0. So if x is greater than a, we will get 0, the value. Therefore f of x is equals to 1 if x is less than a and 0 if x is greater than a. Hence proved. This way we can find the function using inverse Fourier cosine transform. Thank you for watching. If you have any doubt, please do comment.